Finally guys, it's here, game room setup tour for 2021. Now I know this is a video you guys have been asking me to make for the past year and a half. It's truly inspiring to see how much support you guys have given me over that time frame. I can't thank you guys enough. I'd also like to thank Elgato and the Wave 3 for sponsoring this video. Let's first kick off with the soundproofing, which is something that was necessary when I first thought about even building this room. We have bass traps in all of the corners and the floors and ceilings, as well as soundproofing panels enclosing all the walls. The small parts of the room that don't have any soundproofing are finished with some beautiful wainscoting to give some contrast between those darker colors. So it gives off a nicer vibe when it's hit with all of the different kinds of LED lighting that we have in here. Now we actually have two different setups here in the game room, but I can only show you one of them because that second setup will have its own dedicated video here pretty soon. So if you want to see that video in the future, along with any other dope gaming and tech videos, just make sure you guys are subscribed and turn on your post notifications. Let's start in the back corner above that setup, where you'll notice I have my favorite 5 gaming headsets that I shuffle between on a daily basis, and this is all heavily depending on if I'm doing any competitive gaming or not. If I am, I'm going with the Audeze Mobius and the Cloud Orbit S for my wired headsets, and the Penrose or the JBL Quantum 800 for my wireless headsets. Those are my must-haves and are my top picks out of the hundreds of gaming headsets we've checked out and reviewed over the past year and a half. Now you'll notice I have a ton of stuff on this floating shelf here that we have on the wall. It's holding up some other gaming gear and extra headsets or accessories that we've checked out recently, as well as backups for items used the most like the Stream Deck, controllers, lenses, and so on. Aside from that soundproofing, we have some of my favorite games I grew up on over the years as posters. The first being Mortal Kombat 2, which came out on the first console my dad bought me as a kid, which was obviously Sega Genesis, followed by some other favorites such as Black Ops 3, Destiny 2, Mario Kart, and Halo 2, which I'd probably say was my favorite alongside Combat Evolved. Now let's not get this confused for a second. I am a Call of Duty veteran first and foremost over everything. This is year 18 for me, which is actually insane if you think about it. The first Call of Duty came out back in 2003 and it feels like it was just yesterday. Now I didn't take online gaming serious until Call of Duty 2 came out with the release of the Xbox 360. That was the defining moment I think for Call of Duty and online gaming to where it really took off from that point. I kind of wonder where I would have ended up if my parents actually had the money to take me to those LAN events when I was a teenager. But we all know you can't live in the past and I'm doing just fine now. Along with the posters, we have some dope M-Fam art here. Shout out to Nick Merckx. Can't tell you how inspiring it is to see how far along he's come from Advanced Warfare and Gears of War, so I have to show him love. Been rocking with him since the beginning. We have some stuffed animals that I've acquired here over the years to help fill in some of the setup. We have Pikachu and Charmander, along with Squirtle hiding in his shell next to the Twitch pillow that everyone has. We also have my favorite SCUF controllers here, of which I've only been rocking the SCUF Vantage 2 over the past few years since its release. It's the one that feels the most comfortable and natural to me, especially after starting off over on Xbox all those years. Now in front of that, we have this dope PlayStation logo that lights up with a wide variety of different lighting styles. This thing is an absolute must in your setup, especially if you're a PlayStation fan. All of this is sitting up on top of the famous Monster fridge that you guys always ask me about when you see it in the background of my videos and my reviews. I've had this thing since the beginning. Thank you, Monster. This thing is absolutely the best, and it's an art piece more than anything. I'd say 95% of the time it's filled with Monster, but over the past few years, I haven't had the need for caffeine as much, so I save a row at the bottom for some sparkling water or other things that I currently enjoy drinking. In the next corner, we have all the tech backed up with security and fiber internet that runs throughout the whole compound, as well as the studio, which I'll show you just the 2 routers that I have up here since this is boring stuff to most of you. We have the NetDuma Netgear Nighthawk and the AT&T Gigabit internet that we're rocking with, which is stupid fast. Over 1 gig up and down to cover pretty much everything we've got going on up here. Now this is all connected to a different server room for easy file transfer, as well as switches from Netgear to connect to everything in the studio. This then takes us to the desks. We have 3 massive countertops from IKEA that we had to custom build with custom legs that would support the countertops and all the weight that we planned on adding to them over the years. We have 2 98-inch matte black countertops running along the sides that's met with a 74-inch space matte countertop in the middle that had somewhat of a granite design to it. I picked these up because they'll never move. They're extremely strong and provide a ton of space underneath for any storage that I might need for the future. However, since we have all that space in the studio, I really haven't had the need to really store anything up here, but it's nice to always have options. Above that middle countertop, we have 4 absolutely massive displays that are free floating, which is why you won't see any cables or wires in this entire setup aside from my mouse. That's it. We have 3 27-inch 4K monitors along the bottom, followed by a 43-inch 4K Vizio Smart TV at the top. I love having so much real estate to where I can watch my favorite streamers on one display when I'm not streaming myself, as well as watching any games that might be on that top display at the same time I'm working on editing a video or doing some other work. Over the years, this setup has been the best for me, but I'd recommend if you're just editing to stick to one massive monitor like I have in my studio, or even something like the M1 IMAX setup tour that I gave you guys about a week ago. For my peripherals, we have the Roccat Vulcan 100, which has been the best keyboard I've ever come across over the years, next to my glorious Model O that's been my favorite mouse since we reviewed it here on the channel when it first came out. The RGB coloring also matches on both for me, which is a win-win for this particular setup. Next to my mouse, we have a digital time clock that I use to help me focus on work when I need to get stuff done, along with the latest Stream Deck Mark II from Elgato. I absolutely love this thing and it's changed my life in so many ways over the years, now sporting an even better design than before. It doesn't have that cheap folding door that would always collapse on itself anymore. Not to mention you now have interchangeable faceplates, a USB Type-C cable that's detachable, as well as a 45-degree fixed stand with rubber on the bottom so it doesn't slide around when you press any of the keys. For my camera we have the Sony A7S III with a Sony 20mm 1.8G lens on it. I use this camera for both streaming and making content, and it's by far the best camera you can pick up for the money. It's also perfect for those lower light scenarios that we have up here in the game room, which is why you'll notice aside from any Philips Hue lighting I have in here, I never have any other lighting turned on. It can be pitch black in here and I can still make content by just cranking up the ISO on this camera until I get the lighting that I need, even if it's just the lighting I'm getting from my displays. If, however, I do need some lighting for whatever reason, I have this dope ring light from Elgato that's super bright and offers a ton of different color temperatures and settings that I can control and change within seconds, making it super useful when shooting some B-roll on any products that I'm testing up here. Next to my ring light we have a Philips Hue Go, my Audeze Penrose, as well as my matte black PlayStation 5 along with all of the matte black controllers that I'm using with it, primarily being the Scuff Vantage 2 that I mentioned earlier. Now under the PS5 we also have my JBL Quantum 800 that I primarily use to swap with the Penrose when the battery dies on one of them. Both of these are definitely my favorite go-to headsets out of the entire lineup. Now we all know one of the most important factors, if not the most important factor when it comes to streaming and recording is your microphone quality. Over the years you could kind of get away with a subpar webcam with some decent lighting, but if the microphone quality was terrible, people were leaving right away. And over the years we've tested out the SM7B, the Rode NT1, the Shure MB7, all of which were fantastic microphones, but none of them really gave you that full control that you needed when you were dealing with multiple different audio sources. So at the center of my whole setup, the microphone responsible for letting you hear this beautiful, crisp, clear, raspy voice is the Elgato Wave 3, paired with its shock mount and external pop filter. As you guys can also see, we have the latest boom arm from Elgato, which is their Wave Mic Arm LP. This low profile mic arm has been a blessing for me. It lets you hide all of your wires inside the mic arm while fully articulating in any direction to help make the most of your setup. It's fully adjustable and also has a rotating ball head at the end of it to suit a ton of different looks and scenarios to fit any setup out there. For the longest time here on the channel, we've tried to find the best microphone for gamers and streamers to give you that amazing crisp, clear audio with the perfect software to match. The Elgato Wave 3 is my favorite USB microphone to use no matter what situation I'm in. You have a ton of accessories you can pick up to make this mic your all-in-one go-to for your setup. From shock mounts to desktop extensions to external pop filters, Elgato's got you covered. You also have the original mic arm if you don't plan on using something that has this low profile look to better suit those higher angles above your displays. The Wave 3 also has built-in clip guard technology as well as an internal pop filter to make sure you don't experience any breathing or distortion in your streams and recordings. The best part of all, the software lets you control your game volume, your music, your friends in Discord, and everything else you've got going on all separately. You have separate mixers for both yourself and your stream, giving you full control and transparency at your fingertips. If you guys want to see more, I will make sure to have everything linked down below for you. Now the monster that's powering everything in this setup is inside this Corsair Obsidian 900D Super Tower. It's not as large as the 1000D tower that we have in the studio, but I can assure you it's definitely massive. Inside we have a liquid cooled system powered by an i9 Extreme with two 2080 Ti's that are liquid cooled through their water blocks with 128GB of Corsair Dominator Platinum high performance RAM, all sitting on this Aorus Master motherboard. We have two large radiators and one small one that houses 10 fans which help circulate the liquid cooling through a pump and these two massive reservoirs. For storage we have 30TB in the base along with a 2TB Samsung Evo internal SSD and an Elgato 4K 60 Pro Mark II capture card, which lets me stream and record my PS5 footage when I'm not using my PC. Now in case you guys were wondering, yes, we named it the Incredible Hulk because of all the purple and green colors that are running through it. Unfortunately, I'm sad to say it's going to be replaced soon with a new setup that's going to have a 3090 and a Ryzen 5950X to help me edit those very taxing 6 and 8K video files here in the future, as well as get back to streaming games in 4K since this PC, believe it or not, just isn't cutting it for me. So I'll use it for something else. As always, I'm curious to know what you guys actually thought about this setup. Did I miss anything? Let me know down below where you'll also find the links to everything that we covered in today's video. If you want to see more, go ahead and follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DetroitFury. And if you enjoyed this content, please make sure you smash that like button for me, subscribe, turn on your post notifications. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.